Have you been seeing his name pop up everywhere lately? Social media is buzzing, the headlines are on fire, and it feels like every day there's some new story or rumor about Sean Diddy Combs. But here's the wild part. Even if you don't follow celebrity news, even if you don't really care about rap or hip-hop, you've probably still heard something about Diddy in the past few months. He's everywhere. And it's not just because of the music, or the businesses, or the status as a cultural icon. It's because right now he's at the center of one of the biggest, most talked about controversies in pop culture. But hey, let's slow it down for a second. Who is Sean Combs really? Here's the truth. A lot of people know the name. They know the flashy lifestyle, they know the iconic hits, but they don't know the story behind all that fame. They don't know about the kid from Harlem who went from having almost nothing to shaping the entire music industry. They don't know how he built an empire, stretching from record labels to fashion to global brand deals, and how he became one of the most powerful and, yes, controversial figures in entertainment. In this video, we're breaking it all down. Before the fame, before the yachts, before the awards, Sean John Combs was just a kid from Harlem, New York. Born on November 4th, 1969, Diddy grew up in a neighborhood marked by hardship and hustle. His father, Melvin, had ties to the drug world. And when Sean was just 2 years old, his father was murdered. That left his mother, Janice, a strong, determined woman, to raise him on her own. She worked multiple jobs, doing everything she could to make sure her son had opportunities she never did. Even as a child, Sean had a fire in him. He wasn't just hustling to survive, he was hustling to rise. In high school, he earned the nickname Puff because of the way he'd puff out his chest whenever he was angry or determined. He didn't come from privilege, he didn't have connections handed to him, but what he did have was ambition and a willingness to outwork anyone in the room. While attending Howard University, he landed an unpaid internship at Uptown Records. Think about that for a second. No money, no guarantees, just pure determination. But that's where the magic started. At Uptown, Sean's natural talent for spotting trends and shaping hits exploded. By his early 20s, he was already producing chart-topping artists like Mary J. Blige and Jodeci. But Puff wasn't content staying behind the scenes. He wanted more, and soon he'd step into the spotlight himself. Stay with me, because the next part is where the empire begins. Sean Combs had outgrown his role as an intern. He was ready to create his own legacy. So in 1993, at just 24 years old, he launched Bad Boy Records, a label that would redefine hip-hop and R&B for an entire generation. His first major signing, a young rapper from Brooklyn named Christopher Wallace, better known as the Notorious B.I.G. With Biggie's lyrical genius and Puff's business savvy, Bad Boy exploded onto the charts. Hits like Juicy, Big Papa, and Mo Money Mo Problems turned Biggie into a global star and turned Puffy into a music mogul. But Bad Boy wasn't just about Biggie. Under Diddy's leadership, the label nurtured artists like Faith Evans, 112, Mace, and Total, dominating the radio airwaves and setting the tone for the late 90s sound. What made Diddy stand out wasn't just his ear for hits, it was his showmanship. He inserted himself into music videos, he strutted on stage, and he crafted a persona as Puff Daddy, the larger-than-life figure who blurred the line between artist and executive. He was flashy, he was fearless, he was unforgettable. But success didn't come without a cost. Behind the scenes, tensions were rising, rivalries were brewing, and soon, tragedy would shake the Bad Boy empire to its core. By the mid-1990s, Bad Boy Records wasn't just a music label. It was a cultural force, setting trends, dominating the charts, and reshaping the sound of an era. But success? It painted a target on Diddy's back. Across the country on the West Coast, Death Row Records, led by Suge Knight and fronted by Tupac Shakur, was rising fast. Soon, the industry buzz became a full-blown rivalry, East Coast versus West Coast, and this wasn't just about rap battles or record sales. It was personal. Tupac publicly accused Diddy and Biggie of setting him up in a 1994 shooting. Tensions escalated, fueled by media hype, diss tracks, and a culture hungry for drama. For fans, it was electrifying. For the artists, it was deadly. In 1996, Tupac was fatally shot in Las Vegas. 6 months later, in 1997, Biggie Smalls was gunned down in Los Angeles. Both murders remain unsolved. Both sent shockwaves through hip-hop. And for Diddy, Biggie's death wasn't just a personal loss, it was the moment everything changed. From the outside, Puff Daddy appeared to bounce back, releasing I'll Be Missing You, a tribute to Biggie that topped charts worldwide. But behind the scenes, the pressure was mounting. His image as the smooth, untouchable mogul, cracking, his empire under scrutiny. And yet this was only the beginning of Diddy's transformation. Because soon, he wouldn't just be known for music, he'd be known for his reinvention. Stick with me, because in the next section, we'll explore how Diddy pivoted and rebranded himself into a global icon. After the heartbreak and chaos of the late 90s, you'd think Diddy might fade away. But no, this is where his next act began. Diddy didn't just survive Biggie's death. He pivoted. He rebranded. He became Diddy. First, he expanded beyond music. He launched Sean John, a clothing line that became a massive success, racking up millions in sales and winning awards. Then he jumped into the world of spirits, introducing Kiruk vodka and helping transform it into a global luxury brand. Where most rap moguls stayed in their lane, Diddy branched out. Music, fashion, alcohol, media, television. He wasn't just a rapper or a producer anymore, he was a business empire. His name became synonymous with luxury, hustle, and reinvention. But this reinvention, it wasn't just about business. In the early 2000s, he made headlines again by shortening his name from Puff Daddy to P. Diddy, and eventually just Diddy. Every name change kept him fresh in the public eye. He even joked once, "No one's sure what to call me, but everyone's still talking about me." And that was the point. For fans, Diddy represented reinvention and resilience. For critics, he represented vanity and relentless self-promotion. But either way, he stayed at the center of pop culture. And in the next section, we'll uncover how Diddy's carefully crafted public image masked deeper troubles simmering beneath the surface. You won't want to miss this. Here's where things get complicated. On the surface, Diddy was a model of success. A billionaire, a businessman, a trendsetter. He appeared in interviews preaching about Black excellence, giving motivational speeches, claiming he wanted to uplift his community. He opened charter schools, launched charitable initiatives, and presented himself as the ultimate role model for the next generation. But behind the scenes, there were whispers. There were lawsuits. There were cracks in the perfect image. People in the music industry began questioning his business practices. Artists under Bad Boy Records accused him of shady contracts and exploitative deals. Some claimed they were left behind, while Diddy expanded his empire. His romantic relationships, too, drew attention. From Jennifer Lopez to Cassie Ventura, Diddy's love life was constantly in the spotlight. Sometimes glamorous, sometimes turbulent. And then, there were the long-standing rumors about his temper, about controlling behavior, about darker things happening out of the public eye. For years, none of it stuck. Diddy seemed untouchable. He had reinvented himself so many times, he was almost like a shapeshifter, constantly changing, always staying one step ahead. But as the years went on, the public began to wonder, was the Diddy they saw on TV really the man he was behind closed doors? And that question leads us straight into the storm brewing today. In the next section, we'll explore the rise of allegations, the lawsuits, and how the man once called a mogul of reinvention now faces his most serious reckoning yet. Stay with us. This is where it all begins to unravel. And then the headlines exploded. It wasn't just business disputes or celebrity gossip anymore. In late 2023, a lawsuit dropped that shocked even longtime industry watchers. Cassie Ventura, Diddy's ex-partner of over a decade, filed a detailed, chilling lawsuit accusing him of years of abuse, control, and coercion. It wasn't the first whisper, but it was the first time someone so close, so central to Diddy's world, put it all in writing, under the harsh light of the law. The public reaction? Immediate. Fans, media, and former collaborators began to reevaluate everything they thought they knew. But here's where things turned from scandal to collapse. Within 24 hours of the lawsuit going public, Diddy settled, reportedly for tens of millions. To some, that looked like guilt. To others, it looked like damage control. Either way, it was just the beginning. Soon, more lawsuits piled on. Other alleged victims came forward, and then the Department of Homeland Security stepped in, launching federal investigations that shook the entertainment world. For years, Diddy had stayed ahead of the news cycle, rebranding, reshaping, rebuilding. But this time, the walls were closing in. Suddenly, brands were cutting ties. Media outlets were backing away. Even longtime friends in the industry fell silent. The man who once seemed invincible, who danced on yachts and strutted down red carpets, was now facing charges that could land him behind bars for decades. And for the public watching, it sparked a much bigger question. If someone with that much power, that much visibility, could keep dark secrets for so long, what else is hidden behind Hollywood's shiny curtain? When the walls came crashing down around Diddy, something even more shocking happened. Silence. Not from the media, not from the public, but from the very people who once surrounded him. The A-list celebrities, the business partners, the politicians and influencers who once flocked to Diddy's side. For the parties, the endorsements, those iconic Black excellence photos. Suddenly, they were nowhere to be found. No public statements, no shows of support, no interviews defending his character. Why? That silence spoke volumes. It suggested that maybe, just maybe, they knew. They knew the rumors, they knew the whispers, and they chose to stay quiet, to protect their own images, their own brands, their own money. Because in Hollywood, what matters isn't just what you do, it's how well you hide it. And here's the kicker. This isn't just about Diddy. This is about an entire system that rewards silence, that protects power, and that punishes anyone who dares to speak out. It's why survivors stay silent. It's why predators flourish. It's why we keep seeing the same pattern over and over again. Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, Jeffrey Epstein, and now Diddy. The names change, but the structure stays the same. So when we look at Diddy's fall, we're not just seeing the collapse of one man, we're seeing the cracks in an entire industry. And the big question becomes, who's next? Who's still hiding in the shadows, protected by fame, wealth, and a system that values profit over people? In our final section, we'll explore the legacy of Diddy's rise and fall, and what lessons, if any, the world will take away from it. Because this isn't just a celebrity scandal. It's a mirror reflecting back on all of us. So here we are, Diddy, once the unstoppable mogul, the icon of hip-hop, fashion, and media, now sits behind bars. His empire crumbling, his name forever tainted. But the story doesn't end with him. His legacy, it's complicated. On one hand, you have undeniable achievements. He transformed the sound of modern hip-hop, he helped shape global pop culture, and he built a billion-dollar empire from scratch. He inspired generations of Black entrepreneurs, showing that success was possible, even when the system was rigged against you. But on the other hand, you have a trail of devastation. Artists exploited, women abused, colleagues betrayed, and communities harmed. The same ambition that propelled him to the top also consumed everything in its path. And now, the world faces a choice. Will we remember Diddy as a cautionary tale? Proof that no amount of fame can shield you from accountability? Or will the industry quietly move on, hoping the public forgets until the next scandal breaks? Because make no mistake, this isn't just a Diddy problem. It's an industry problem, a cultural problem. We live in a world that celebrates power, money, and image, even when it comes at the expense of basic human decency. So the real takeaway here isn't just Diddy fell, it's why did he rise that high in the first place? Who helped him stay there? And what will it take to stop the cycle? The next few months will bring more trials, more headlines, and probably more shocking revelations. But the bigger question we should all be asking is, how do we make sure this doesn't happen again? Because if we only focus on Diddy, we're missing the bigger story. This isn't just the fall of a man, it's the unmasking of a system. And that, more than anything else, is what we need to remember. In our next episode, we're pulling back the curtain, diving into the shocking allegations, lawsuits, and the scandals now threatening to erase his empire. If you've ever wondered how a figure like Diddy could rise so high and face such a spectacular fall, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and tell us in the comments, what surprised you most about Diddy's life story? What do you want us to cover in the next video? This is just the beginning. We'll see you in the next one.